we have someone in the comments saying, do they support cash payments for reparations? And I feel like saying, well, look, we just got an answer. They're building a platform and that will be voted on. And I'm sure that will be addressed. So to ask them that, I mean, it's kind of like, it's a moot point to ask them what they personally think. It's more of an issue what becomes the platform. So I think that you would have to just wait and see. But I support that. So
I mean, reparations to me is an actual infrastructural,
it's a whole bunch
financial
of things.
Investment by the banking system in communities that have been neglected for generations.
It's so many things. You can't get into it. It's so many things. It's tax codes. It's direct payments.
That's one of the general.
It's a song and a dance. But anyway.
But the issue that I really wanted to touch upon, because as I was saying before, I still think the only way that your organization is going to grow is if there is some type of an agreement, whatever that looks like. I can't say specifically, but there has to be some type of an understanding amongst the people who want to fight for the third party and the people who want to continue fighting within the Democratic Party. The movement is not big enough where we literally could be at each other's throats about which strategy is the right strategy.
They're both fine.
And that to me leads to Nina Turner. And the fact that she not only lost that race, which I think could have easily been avoided if there had been a massive movement on the progressive left, regardless of whether you were fighting for a third party or fighting within the Democratic Party. I think the fact that she was the keynote speaker at the Movement for a People's Party Summit really spoke a lot about the way that she was willing to put herself out there. And then what we had noticed over the last, I would say 2 or 3 months of the election, there were people who were really at her throat that she wasn't doing enough, that she wouldn't show up to a Medicare for All march, that her ad for Medicare for All in Cleveland and Akron was not enough. And then ultimately, it didn't seem like there was enough of a movement that was actively trying to help her get elected, whether it was through phone banking, text banking, or even sending people to Cleveland and Akron to knock on doors for her. As far as I can tell, she really put herself out there for you guys. And it seemed like she really didn't get a lot in return when it was all said and done. We did get to Cleveland and it just didn't feel like there was enough of the movement there that really wanted to help her get elected. And I do think, especially if she chooses to run again in April, that recognizing that working together to elect somebody who is going to fight for the common good, even if she isn't going to give you everything all that you're looking for, is going to do exponentially better in terms of building credibility for a third party movement rather than not being involved in that capacity. We'd love to hear what you guys think about that, because we definitely think that Nina, regardless of whether it's in the Democratic Party or not, is one of the true leaders of the non-corporate progressive movement.
Well, Nina Turner was a keynote speaker at the People's Convention, as you say, and have lots of respect for Nina Turner. We didn't have ballot access in Ohio. So she had to run as a Democrat. We also, I think there's a lot of people out there who are skeptical about whether change can happen in the Democratic Party, as we've been saying, because of what they've seen over the last several months. And that's not the People's Party's fault. I mean, there was you probably saw soon at the day after Nina's race, we actually went trending with more than 27,000 tweets. And the reason is that Emma Vigeland came out and attacked us and tried to say that we had somehow cost Nina Turner the election. And the movement found that such a laughably ridiculous argument.
Oh, it was ridiculous, Nick, because
tweets
what really cost her the election was me.
Party.
Okay, no, I was going to tell you what really cost her the election was me, because I suggested that it wouldn't be a good idea for her to be part of a Assange telethon during her campaign. And apparently that is why Nina lost. So do not take all the credit for that, because I know that I apparently have so much power. So.
Exactly. And Susan Sarandon cost Hillary Clinton that
election. Hey, don't mess with Susan Sarandon.
It's all Jill Stein's fault.
We have so much power, those of us who are fighting to build something completely outside, completely marginalized, outside of the power structures. And yet we have the ability to, this is an amazing extension of the spoiler effect. We can spoil a race that we weren't even in. Unbelievable.
Right. No, and I think that there is something to be said for people getting behind a candidate that is a non-corporate candidate who has been supportive of third parties. That's definitely better than what the alternative was in that race. For sure that was the better option. And I just, the infighting is unfortunate, but yeah, I understand people.
We did show support. Oh, not to interrupt, Jen.
Oh, no, I don't even know. That's what I'm saying to him. I don't know that. That's why I know nothing about what he was talking about. It's unfortunate, and I wish we weren't stuck like how we feel stuck down here. I mean, I am by no means a fan of the Democratic Party. I exited in 2016. I have very little appreciation, if any, for really anybody in there. Unfortunately for me, I live in Florida. So my options are slim to none. That's just the way it is, or we get no vote. And so I'm stuck, but I have no love for that party.
And I do think that and again, I think that this is very important, and I am going to push you guys a little on this. I really do think that there is an important factor here going forward, because it didn't seem like there was an active push to help Nina get elected. That doesn't mean that you're the reason that she lost. Don't misconstrue. I can't stand when people say things like that, and everybody likes to dunk. Everybody likes to punch down. It is so disgusting. That happens all the time. That is not the answer. But I really do think that the credibility of the Movement for a People's Party is going to go up if there is that consensus of, all right, look, it's going to take time for us to build this infrastructure. It's not going to happen overnight. And no matter how much people are struggling, there's not enough people in the streets right now who are fighting to change that. We need to have a march on Washington, as far as I'm concerned. 1 million people need to be in that freaking city. Just like they want to ignore the 10 cities that are there, there needs to be hundreds of thousands of people in that city telling people we need our freaking health care, we need a Green New Deal, we need a living wage, we need housing. Enough with this BS. And so to me, it has to be front and center. That's the only reason why I think Wolf Blitzer ever addressed Nancy Pelosi, is because he saw it in front of him and he didn't know how to not acknowledge what was going on. But I still believe that this meeting of the minds, so to speak, is the only way that we're ever going to get anywhere. It is so vitally important that we recognize that, just like Amani Oakley, who came on our podcast before, she may be running the Democratic Party, but my goodness, if she isn't a great candidate. Right. And when you consider the person who's representing that area right now, that family's been entrenched there for, I believe, over 40 years. So there is something to be said for fighting the good fight right now until there is that infrastructure in place. So that way you will have the opportunity to field strong candidates, have strong fundraising, and be able to make that impact. That's where I stand. And that's why I think, even though we are fighting with the Democratic Party, we are not opposed to what you guys are doing at all. We do think, though, that in terms of strategy, that is something that needs to be considered. And we'd really love to hear what your thought is on that.
And stop saying we. I can talk for myself.
You don't want to hear.
No, but he says we, like we're of one mind. No, but I do agree. Like, we are very supportive. I've always been supportive. Third parties in general. I'm supportive of what you guys are doing. I'm supportive of anything that's trying to help people. So that's really what I want to do. So yeah, we're not being averse at all.
Well, I believe that. Well, what we need to do, we need to be united on the issues. The issue's not, oh, this person doesn't take corporate money, or, oh, they're labeled as progressives. I think that we need to be united on the issues. One thing the People's Party will do, and we've all agreed, is something that we should do as a party, is hold our own people accountable once they get into office. Hold them accountable. And so what we need to be united on isn't necessarily behind reforming the Democratic Party, a third party. I believe that a third party is the way to go, because we've seen what happens when trying to reform the Democratic Party. It's that people are sliding on the issues that matter. Pramila Jayapal released a Medicare for All bill, and she's been running on this, for 6 years. And she did this before, and then she was back on Justice Democrat slate after she broke our promises in an entire election cycle. What we have to be behind are the policies, and that's why we need to organize, and we do need to get out there, and we do need to have an eventual general strike. We do need to push at the Capitol steps. We do need to march for Medicare for All, and we need these candidates and these folks to show up for these and to not be sort of towing the line to get elected as politicians, but are really fighting for the issues that matter, because we don't have tomorrow to wait for. I mean, we've seen our revolutionists change their mantra to more of an incrementalist state. Other organizations that I've worked with have moved more toward incrementalism.
Yes, of course. Everybody gets co-opted.
Yeah, listen, we
over and
heard-
over and over again.
I don't know. I forgot the gentleman's name, but I heard Jordan interview him when we were in Cleveland, and I was
Oh
like,
my God.
God, is
What
this
was that? Was that the Justice Dems guy?
Gavarganese, he's the head of Our Revolution.
I thought it was a joke. Like I thought it was like a Saturday Night Live skit.
He could have been the spokesperson for the DNC. That's how he sounded.
That's right.
Like, really
They just I helped start that organization, and it's a very sad fate and emblematic of what Zaina was saying about what happens, and what you guys were saying about what happens at progressives that go in there. They dropped Medicare for All and the Green New Deal, and they said, we're just going to push for what Biden has. So that's the recipe for really getting nothing, as we've seen. But I want to answer what you were saying, Peter, and that is there are hundreds of organizations that are dedicated to reforming the Democratic Party in one way or another, or supporting progressive candidates who run inside the Democratic Party. What there isn't is that level of resources, the level going towards building a major new party. And so the marginal returns of actually helping to support build a new party, like, some people try to do this apples to apples comparison about, starting a new party versus reforming the Democratic Party. There are an inordinately greater amount of resources, orders of magnitude greater resources going into reforming the Democratic Party. And yet look at what we've been able to do with few resources, with much fewer. For example, doing that action at AOC's office, which was able to, after that, there were 7 pages of Google results saying that Susan Sarandon and others go to AOC's office and protest her for not fighting for Medicare for All. And one of our demands was, as Zaina said, that we need you to start using your social media, your ability to get press, and your celebrity to take direct action. They could have taken direct action over the past few years. They could have taken direct action over the past months, several months. There's no lack of issues that they could have fought for. $15 minimum wage, Medicare for All, the COVID stimulus. And yet it was days after we did that, and they saw press clippings for a week saying that you're being called out by people going to your office with your constituents, where your own constituents are speaking and saying what you're doing, you are not fighting for us, you're not fighting hard enough. And days later, they were at the steps of Congress. That's the power of direct action.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.